They are deeply shaken, perhaps more than they have ever been in their entire life, because something entirely unexpected has happened, something they never prepared for, something they never even imagined could happen to them. For as long as they can remember, they have relied on a carefully crafted set of emotional strategies, a kind of internal playbook they use to keep people at a distance. They learned early on that controlling their emotions meant controlling their environment, and controlling their environment meant staying safe. They used mind games, deflection, charm, and subtle manipulation not necessarily out of malice, but as a survival instinct. These tactics always helped them maintain power in relationships, or at the very least, maintain distance. They believed that if they stayed detached, they could never be disappointed, never be hurt, never be vulnerable. They thought they had mastered this emotional armor, until they met you. What unsettles them most now is that none of these strategies worked on you. It was as if you stepped into their life and immediately disrupted a system they had depended on for years. They tried to read you the way they read everyone else, expecting you to follow predictable patterns, to respond in ways they had grown accustomed to. But you didn't. You didn't fall for the subtle pushes or the emotional pulling back. You didn't entertain their avoidance or punish them for their distance. You didn't feed into any of the silent tests they set in place. Instead, you continued to be kind. You continued to be honest. You continued to be genuine and respectful, even when they were unsure of how to behave around you. Your presence alone shattered their assumptions and stripped away the sense of emotional control they had always clung to. From the very beginning, they misunderstood you. They saw you through the lens of their past experiences, assuming you were like so many others who had entered their life with superficial intentions. Maybe they believed you were only interested in something casual or temporary. Maybe they assumed you would be like the people who flirted with them playfully but never offered any real depth, commitment, or sincerity. Because they were so used to those patterns, they mistakenly placed you into the same category, assuming you couldn't possibly be different. They misjudged you, not because you were hard to read, but because they were too afraid to look deeper. And because of this fear, they held themselves back from you. They kept emotional distance, convinced it was safer to remain guarded than to risk caring about someone again. Yet even behind that distance, beyond all the walls they built to protect themselves, something powerful was already taking place. They had begun falling in love with you long before they allowed themselves to admit it. They felt something warm and unexplainable every time they thought about you, something unfamiliar yet undeniably real. It terrified them. They told themselves it was nothing, that they were imagining it, that you would eventually show your real self and prove their fears right. But you didn't. Instead, you continued to show up as the same genuine, authentic, compassionate person you had been from the start. Every time they expected you to change or reveal some hidden agenda, you only proved your sincerity even more. You didn't play along with their internal games. You didn't mirror the emotional patterns they were used to. Instead, you showed them a version of honesty and confidence that they weren't accustomed to encountering. You carried yourself with a quiet, grounded grace, a kind of presence that didn't demand attention but naturally received it. You didn't hide behind facades or social masks. You didn't pretend to be someone you weren't just to make others comfortable. You lived in your truth effortlessly. And whether you realized it or not, that authenticity touched them deeply. The more they observed you, the more they realized just how unique you are compared to everyone else they have ever met. You didn't fit into any of the mental categories they had created. You weren't superficial or manipulative or emotionally unavailable. You weren't insecure or unstable or unpredictable. You were simply yourself, honest, loyal, open-hearted, and sincere. This realization began reshaping their understanding of love and connection. Slowly, without them even noticing at first, you rewrote their internal script. Where they once believed love required walls, boundaries, and emotional armor, you showed them that real love requires something entirely different: vulnerability, truth, and mutual respect. As time went on, they began to see themselves differently as well. They recognized the parts of themselves that had been closed off for so long. They became more aware of their fears, their insecurities, and the ways they had sabotaged meaningful connections in the past. They realized that their emotional distance wasn't strength, it was fear. And the person who helped them see that truth was you. Through your example, through your presence, you helped them grow mentally and emotionally. You helped them become more self-aware, more honest with themselves, and more capable of understanding what they truly want in life. They credit much of that growth to you. Where they once were hesitant to feel, now they find themselves wanting to lean in. Where they once closed themselves off, they now feel their heart opening in ways that are both frightening and exhilarating. You have given them the courage to confront their own emotions rather than run from them. You've shown them that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the foundation of real connection. And because of this, they now want to share everything they have been holding inside. They want to tell you that they are ready, truly ready, to do whatever it takes to build something real with you. They no longer want to hide behind half-truths or emotional games. They don't want to keep you at a distance or pretend their feelings are smaller than they are. They want to return to you with complete honesty, transparency, and openness. They want to let go of every defense mechanism that once protected them and instead embrace the truth of how they feel. They feel empowered by this clarity, not frightened. They feel strong in their decision to step forward instead of pulling away. What they feel for you is not temporary. It's not impulsive. It's not built on infatuation or fantasy. It is deep, powerful, and undeniably real. They feel it in their thoughts, in their emotions, in the way their body responds when they think of you. It is a love that has grown steadily, quietly, consistently, so much so that they cannot keep it buried anymore. Their heart has fully awakened, almost as if a part of them that had been dormant for years has suddenly come to life again. This awakening has unlocked a level of passion and emotional intensity they never knew they were capable of. Emotions they once ignored or suppressed now flow freely, refusing to remain hidden any longer. The love they feel for you is becoming impossible to ignore. It rises within them like a tide, strong and undeniable, demanding to be acknowledged. They no longer want to resist this love. They no longer want to pretend that these feelings are anything less than life-changing. They are ready to open themselves to you completely, ready to reveal their heart without reservation, ready to tell you just how deeply you have impacted their life. In the past, vulnerability terrified them. The thought of opening up, exposing their emotions, or letting someone see their true self felt like an unbearable risk. They feared rejection, disappointment, and heartbreak. They feared losing control. But now, because of you, that fear has transformed. They no longer see vulnerability as something dangerous. They see it as a doorway, one that leads to something meaningful, beautiful, and worth every ounce of courage it takes to step through it. They now understand that love is not a battlefield where one must defend themselves at all costs. Love is a partnership, a connection rooted in truth, trust, and emotional openness. They see love as a reward, a gift, not a threat. They are ready to pursue this love with a sincerity and dedication they didn't know they had within them. Their emotions for you are strong, steady, and authentic. Their intentions are clear. Their desire to build something lasting with you is unwavering. They are ready, fully, genuinely ready, to take the next step toward a future with you. A future built on honesty, loyalty, and a deep, meaningful connection that neither of you has to hide from or fear. A future that honors the truth of what they feel, a love that has changed them, awakened them, and made them a better version of themselves. And now, they want nothing more than to return to you, not with games, not with walls, not with hesitation, but with a heart completely open, completely honest, and completely yours.